Today's episode of the Bill Simmons Podcast, live from Augusta on the Ringer Podcast Network, is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Dad, did you use ZipRecruiter when you were the superintendent of schools in Eastern Massachusetts? You did. They didn't have it yet.
They didn't have it yet.
Yeah, you would have, though. You would have tried to find some teachers on there.
It would have really helped.
80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within a day. They're the best at distributing your job to the best boards, identifying the right people, and inviting them to apply. My listeners can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/BS. Meanwhile, Google Cloud knows that it's the spring. That means basketball, and basketball. Did you know that college players who wear a number one jersey dunk the most? Did you know teams with cat mascots have caused the most upsets? The NCAA is using Google Cloud to turn more than 60 years of data into insights and answers. And now you and your business can do the same. Know what your data knows. See how at g.co/March Madness. Google Cloud is the official cloud of the NCAA. 2 podcasts to subscribe to. Shack House, presented by Callaway. Joe House, Jeff Shackelford, they gave all their Masters picks on Monday. I am going on that podcast tomorrow on Thursday, day 1, Masters, to talk about that and some other stuff. That when we will be rerunning that part on this podcast on Friday morning. And also, I should mention, I went to Callaway. I went to get fitted in clubs in Callaway, Dad, near San Diego. Got these clubs. I'm coming back. You laugh. I'm coming back. You won't play with me anymore after I broke my 5-iron that time.
You're not a really fun person to play with.
Well, I'm sorry. I think I'm older. I'm a little wiser. I'm a little more mature. Nah, you don't believe that. Well, anyway, we went to Callaway, got fitted for clubs, got these new set of Rogue Woods that were pretty cool, and went on Callaway Live with Harry. That is on Callaway. If you go to @Callaway Golf, you can see the interview I did. We talked for like a half hour. Talked about how I got started, Andre the Giant, what we're trying to do at the Ringer, a lot of different stuff. It was cool. About a half-hour interview with me. Check that out on @Callaway Golf. And also we should mention Against All Odds with Cousin Sal. Joe House and I went on there yesterday and talked about our favorite Masters bets, which we'll do whenever House gets out of the shower. House takes like half-hour showers, as you're about to find out. House has been in the shower already for 20 minutes.
I'm just more, we're sharing a bathroom. That's what I'm more worried about.
You're sharing a bathroom?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's like sharing a bathroom with a water buffalo. But we have, we're on Against All Odds with Sal. We talked about our favorite master picks and also how my agent, James Baby Doll Dixon, offered no help whatsoever in Augusta this week. We told that whole story. Very enjoyable. You'll check that out. You will... If you check that out on the Against All Odds podcast, you'll enjoy it. Coming up, we have Jeff Goldblum, an interview I did last week, who's really, really fun to interview. That's coming up later in this podcast. Right now, we're live from Augusta. We're going to talk Masters and basketball and a couple other things. But first, Pearl Jam. All right, my dad is here. Nephew Kyle just woke up. Kyle, were you just going to sleep till like noon today? We have to go to the Masters. They yelled away, came out, said, all right. Where do we start, Dad?
I'm hoping Kyle isn't wearing that outfit to the Masters.
Yeah, hopefully he'll change. So your bucket list. We had, on your bucket list was a Red Sox World Series #1. A Patriots Super Bowl #2, a Bruins Stanley Cup #3, and then seeing one more Celtics title,
2008.
Post-Bird,
Yep.
#4. All of those things happened, not in that order. The Bruins Stanley Cup, after the first 3 happened, the Bruins Stanley Cup, we just assumed that was never going to happen. Then somehow that happened. And now your bucket list is basically my daughter playing for the World Cup team, my son pitching Major League Baseball, the Celtics winning one more title somehow, and then going to Augusta. So we're crossing this one off. You'd never been to Augusta. Why'd you want to go to Augusta so badly?
You know, every year you and I talk on the phone or text each other during the Masters. it just looks like the most beautiful venue that you could ever imagine for a golf tournament. And yesterday, after we took a tour with Jeff Shackelford, I can't believe how much more beautiful.
Yeah.
Unbelievably beautiful. But I will say it's 10, 20, 30 times more difficult each hole when you see them in person than you see them on TV.
What did you think looked like the most difficult hole in person?
I thought 13 really looked difficult.
It's a par 5?
Yeah, the par 5. Sometimes on TV, it looks like if they get it just in the front of the green, that it's not going to roll off. But when you see it in person, there's no way it doesn't go. I don't know what, maybe they're cutting it differently.
So that's the hole where you hit the long enough drive and you can try to drive the green in 2 over the water.
Exactly.
But sometimes either you hit it in the water or you hit it a little short on the green and it'll just roll back and go in the water.
Right. Although when we took a close look yesterday, and it was really fun because we got there late in the day and it wasn't that crowded, there are sandy spots in the water or at the side of the water where you could see the ball rolling down and maybe you would still have a shot.
Yeah.
And we saw a couple of players, including Kuchar, looking at where those sandy spots were. I mean, when they do their practice round, I mean, they're out there carefully looking at spots to land the ball or spots where maybe they won't get in as much trouble if the ball does land there.
What was the best looking hole? 12?
Oh, by far, 12. 12 in person is 1,000 times more beautiful than you think when you see it on TV.
Is there a reason?
Well,
just the flowers?
The flowers, the background, and Shackelford was saying some years the flowers are not quite in bloom, or they've had a lot of rain and and hot sun and it's started to fade. I guess this is perfect right now.
Yeah.
And the background on 12 and just the vista of hitting into that green, it was just gorgeous.
I made you buy new sneakers.
Fortunately, you made me buy new sneakers. They're very comfortable. I don't know that I would have survived without them yesterday.
Yeah, you last like 20 years or so, you've just been brown loafers no matter what the situation is. And I was like, you have to actually wear sneakers at Augusta or else we're in major trouble.
The other nice thing about walking Augusta, the grass is perfect. So you're walking almost on foam rubber and sneakers really helped. But I will say, though, I didn't expect it to be so hilly.
Yeah.
We took a lot of breaks. We weren't taking pictures because you can't have your cell phone out there, but just taking breaks and taking a look at each course carefully. But it's really hilly.
I could see you maybe hanging back. I don't know what we're doing. We're going today for the par 3. Then tomorrow we're going for day 1.
Right.
Today we have the Breckman's passes. We don't even totally understand what it is, but it's by all accounts pretty great. And
today we may or may not get some rain.
We might get a little rain.
So whatever those Breckman passes entitle us to do,
we might just leave you there. I wonder if you could sleep there. Maybe might just leave you. Might never see you again. Where on your bucket list top 10 was Tiger making a Sunday Masters run?
I don't know if it was on my bucket list, but there's no doubt that coming here for the first and probably only time to have Tiger make his return.
Yeah, we didn't expect this because we planned this trip a while ago and we didn't know the Tiger Renaissance was in motion.
It's also amazing. I know, he's a controversial figure, obviously, but to a person, everybody's talking about Tiger here. That and the crowd. I don't
know if he's controversial anymore. I think people just want him to be good at golf again. I think everybody has forgiven the past.
I want him to be good at golf again because
people miss Tiger. Guess what? Golf wasn't as much fun without Tiger.
It wasn't.
Just wasn't.
Yeah.
You saw it those last couple tournaments when he was in the mix at the end, and everybody was like, "How's Tiger? How's Tiger doing? What's he doing?" And there's just nobody else like that. Jordan Spieth is never going to be like that.
And I have to admit that, like the Houston Open last week.
Yeah.
I had many things to do last weekend. Somehow I found myself, it wasn't the Houston Open, the weekend before that, in the tournament that he was in contention.
Yeah.
I had many other things to do, and I found myself watching TV to see how Tiger was doing.
What do you mean you have many other things to do? You're retired. What are you talking about?
I have errands.
Dog walks? Walking the dogs?
My dogs like to go on walks. So I have errands.
Make it sound like you're like a CEO of a company or something. You've retired for 8 years.
I have people I consult with and give advice to. And
you move your car from one side of the street to the other with those parking rules.
Are you giving me shit?
Speaking of giving you shit, you had this stealth Twitter account. That
just opened about 20 minutes ago.
Well, you had it. You used it to follow a couple people just for basketball stuff. And I convinced you as part of your Masters at 70 bucket list experience that you had to really get this Twitter account going. So
well, I'm not sure
I put a little tweet about it.
I just kind of took over. And suddenly I'm involved.
But House agreed. We voted that you have to start tweeting more. The account is at Dr. Bill 1947. So Dr. Bill 1947. If you want to follow my dad, and your first tweet was about the Brandon Cooks trade.
It was,
which you liked because you want them to take Lamar Jackson at 23. You're fired up for Lamar Jackson.
I love Lamar Jackson.
You like Lamar?
Yeah.
His stock's dropping because he hired his mom as an agent, which has freaked some teams out, which I think is ridiculous.
To see that.
Yeah, please.
My gut tells me the Patriots will play it safe and take an offensive tackle.
Yeah, they're going to get us excited for Lamar and take a guard.
Yeah, really. And you and I, every year in the draft,
it's so unsatisfying.
We have our lists, or at least I have my lists and players I know they're going to take or should take or will take. And
they've only had 2 fun drafts that I liked. One was when they took the 2 tight ends, Gronk and future double murderer Aaron Hernandez. But at the time, we didn't know he was going to kill anyone.
He seemed like a nice guy.
We were excited for him. Yeah, that was exciting.
That was really exciting.
the one time ever they traded up and they got Chandler Jones. Remember that draft?
Yeah, and they took the.
You were so happy they traded up. I've never heard you more happy about something as random as a team trading up 8 draft picks or whatever it was.
Well, they took the linebacker too,
Jamie Collins.
So no.
Oh no, Hightower. Yeah, they took Chandler Jones and Hightower.
Yeah.
You were just over the moon.
Because we always do the opposite. Normally,
you say it. You have your draft board, which I don't even know how you make it because you barely watch college football other than the big games.
I'm retired, so I can have a little.
You study. Yeah. You don't know as much about the college football draft as the NHL draft, which you hop in on.
I study once we get into April and March and April. Yeah.
So. Every year, you're waiting like 4 hours for us to pick because we're always near the end of the first round.
I see the guys that are available.
Yeah, you get ready and you get your heart set on these 2 guys that you've barely ever seen. Yeah, then we trade down 6 spots. Yeah. And then we trade down another 7.
And we take guys we never heard of.
This year, we have 23 and 31. You and we liked Cooks, but we're also not shedding any tears.
I liked him more in the first half of the year.
And he had that Miami game when they played the second time they played at Miami, and this cornerback I'd never heard of on Miami. We had all these receivers out, and they needed Cooks to do stuff, and that cornerback completely swallowed him up and took him out of the game in a way that was dramatic. Right. And I think all of us kind of looked at each other and went, "Wow, is Brandon Cooks good? What's going on here?" Because he could basically run the bomb pattern, and he could run the 15-yard stop, sprint and stop and turn. But he didn't get anything over the middle. And like on 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, it didn't seem like he could get open. He wasn't a Brady type of receiver.
Yeah, there were 2 things that really disturbed me about how he played. He never fought for the ball. Unless he was behind the defender and Brady
underthrew it.
He never fought for the ball. And the second thing is what you just said. You'd never see the guy go over the middle, the way Amendola would.
I don't even think like he was unafraid to do it. He didn't have that skill of like, oh, the defense is doing this. I'm going to look at Tom. We know what each other is going to do. Right. Instead of doing what he thought I was going to do, I'm going to cut in, and he just didn't know how to do it.
I thought Brady, the first half of the year, did everything he could to build up his confidence. And to say that, Cooks and I will really have, but
what do you call him? Cookie? Brady called him Cookie.
I'm not sure Brady was doing more of that to try to motivate Cookie, and it never worked out. And he disappeared in the playoffs. In the Jacksonville game, he got open in that game. Well,
In the first half anyway. He had like 6 catches, I think. But
I'm not sure they were difficult
the
catches,
Super Bowl,
though.
he really hurt us. Lombardi talked about it yesterday on Twitter, the reverse where he tried to just jump over the guy instead of just beating him to the corner, which instead of getting a touchdown, we ended up getting 3 points. That was a big 4 points.
Right. And he certainly would have gotten the first down.
And then you said, you won't say this on the podcast, but you blamed him for getting a concussion. You just didn't think he was tough enough. No, you didn't say that. I'm kidding.
I didn't say
no,
that.
But it did suck that he got hurt in the Super Bowl. And even though we would have lost anyway, I do like to tell Philly fans in my life that we would have won the Super Bowl if Cooks didn't get a concussion. I don't even really believe it. It's just my way of trying to hurt them.
You just reminded me of something yesterday. House and I were walking around the course. No, I think it was Kyle and I. Kyle wanted to get a sandwich. I think it was his 4th sandwich of the day. and we saw a guy right in front of us. He had a Philadelphia Super Bowl hat on.
Yeah.
It really disturbed me.
Yeah.
It really disturbed me.
Well, now Philly fans can go on Twitter and tweet in your replies about 41 to 33 because that's what they did to me.
They never deserved that victory.
No, they beat us. That was the first Super Bowl I feel like we lost. Those 2 giant ones have bothered me to my grave that we blew those games and gave those games away.
Well,
the Philly one, I feel like we just couldn't stop them ever.
You must have a lot of Philly fans following you on Twitter. And
we never stopped them. They did whatever they wanted on offense. We never got to stop ever. They had the ball for 9 minutes in the 4th quarter. All we had to do was get the ball back. We couldn't even do that.
Is this another discussion about maybe Butler would have helped? At least he could have tackled somebody?
One of the weirdest. Whole thing was weird.
My
buddy Hench thinks that Belichick, my buddy Hench has this hot take conspiracy theory that Kraft did tell Belichick to trade Jimmy because Brady told him. And that Belichick's revenge now is to basically rebuild around, to keep trading, to have this young team, no left tackle, this work in progress building team just to F Brady back. This team that can't win the Super Bowl next year, but is built for 3 years from now when he's not on the team anymore.
So
I don't believe this conspiracy theory, but I enjoyed it.
It could be. So to rebuild around Lamar Jackson, I like it. I can see it happening.
So the red flags for Lamar Jackson, who this happens every year. There's some quarterback that everybody picks apart and it's stupid, and then they come into the league and they're good. And it happened last year with Deshaun Watson, who somehow dropped to like the 11th or 12th pick. And it was idiotic.
Some similarities between the two of them.
Yeah. It was like, oh, well, he's athletic, but who knows? And then they just pick it apart, and there's just a tinge of racism every time it always seems to be a black quarterback for some reason. We're like, oh, he might be a receiver. I don't know. It's like Lamar Jackson was awesome in college. Why does he have to move to receiver?
Right.
Because he's skinny? Like, he's 21 years old. His body's not going to fill out. Like Kevin Durant was skinny.
I think he's the kind of quarterback of the future, actually. And
it's just unbelievable to me. They try to talk themselves into these other dudes.
Right.
It's like Josh Allen. Oh, he's got all the tools. Okay.
We see those guys.
Feel like we've seen Josh Allen every year.
We see those guys come in the league every year.
It's just so funny. They make the same mistakes every year.
6'4.5", big arm, and not enough upstairs to call a game.
Who knows? The only question with him is what is he going to be like in a big game? It's like, okay, that seems like a big question. It's like that dude on Villanova, Bridges, the 3-and-D wingman guy who was awesome, but he's not going to go in the top 5 of the draft. And I'm positive he's going to be good. He'll go like 9th, and he'll end up being one of the 3 best players in the draft. Everybody will be like, whoa, Bridges should have gone higher. It's like, no kidding. I'm telling you right now, he should go higher.
Well, I just saw a mock draft yesterday. NBA mock draft, of course. It's tough to do that given that there's so much play at the bottom.
Yeah, there's too many teams.
But it had the Cavaliers taking Bridges.
That'd be a great pick for them.
I wasn't happy to see that.
Yeah, I'm hoping they take somebody who needs a little more work.
Yeah.
We had, for about 6 weeks there, we had that Lakers pick that brought us so much joy.
I'm still in they're going to get lucky and
they'd have to get really lucky at this point.
And we're going to get the 2nd or 3rd pick.
We need to get super duper lucky with that. It's like a 2% chance.
Don't you think we're owed?
I think it's not an accident that the Lakers have always kept these picks that they could lose if they,
So you're saying Adam Silver has something to do with?
No, I'm just saying it's just kind of funny. The Lakers never seem to get boned over with any of this stuff. They always get their picks. They always get in the top 3.
It's a pretty big market.
Pretty big market. But it looks like that pick's rolling over to the Sacramento Kings next year, and it's top 1 protected. And we get to root against the Kings all next year, which I feel really good about because that's a train wreck of a franchise.
You and I love rooting against the team.
We love having the team, the team, the anti-team, basically.
We're probably and plus it's a West Coast team, which means I'm up at 1 a.m. seeing how Sacramento does all of next year. There's
no guy that they can really pick that's going to swing them in one season.
No.
It's all guys that might be really, really good. This guy, Doncic, in Europe, is one of the best players I've ever watched on YouTube. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's 18.
Of course I'm familiar with him.
He's playing in the... Well, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with his game.
I have a little time in my hand. I've watched him on YouTube.
He's in the EuroLeague playing basically for the best team or one of the best 2 teams. And they're running crunch time plays for him. And he's making like game-winning shots. And he really looks a little like... Gotta say, like... a little birdish. He's a point guard, but he's got this nice fluid game, and he just knows what to do. Man,
I agree. The thing is, as a rookie coming in, I'm not sure how many more wins he gives Sacramento.
No, plus he's so young. Yeah. But I think so. Like if Sacramento won the lottery, they would take him. He's not going to swing them by 20 wins next year.
No.
So we should also mention, since you're here, you're out of your mind about this new guy in the Bruins. You love nothing more than when the Bruins have a good team and then they get some random guy from college who's not random to anyone who follows college hockey.
Last year, I was really excited
he was one of the best guys.
About McAvoy. And this year, really excited about Donato.
But Donato was a bigger prospect than McAvoy.
In the Boston area, I'd say that Donato went to the Olympics and got a lot of fanfare because
he's like the leading scorer in the Olympics.
Yeah, I'm saying he had so, but McAvoy didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah,
but they're both again. You have McAvoy coming out of Boston University. You have Donato coming out of Harvard. Pretty exciting. You have 2 local kids. You have Donato, whose father played for the Bruins.
30-year anniversary of the Janie Joyce team. That was fun. Remember when they came up?
Yep,
we made it to the finals, and then the Oilers killed us.
People are very excited about this Bruins team. The problem is that obviously we're getting injuries. Carlo's out for the year, broken leg.
Yeah,
that's going to hurt them. They have a couple of other guys with nicks. They had a bad loss last night against Tampa Bay.
But you're optimistic.
I'm optimistic.
You like this Bruins team.
I do like
good
this.
Goalie.
He's
One Punch Chara just signed for another year.
I'm good with that. I like this team a lot, and I think if the chips fall correctly, we could see them in the finals.
And the Celtics, it's just been the year from hell, and yet somehow we might make round 2 or round 3.
Well, I mean, every day you turn around and...
Yesterday they started a guy at point guard that I had to look up.
I know you.
And I was like, Kadeem Allen. And you had to remind me that was the guy we took with like the 58th pick.
I think he was like the 56th pick, and
he's our 5th string point guard. Started last night.
Yeah, I don't think I guess the little I heard was he didn't play that well.
One of the most lovable Celtics teams we've had.
Very much so.
Reminds me of the '92 team.
Yeah.
And the '93 team. Those last 2 Reggie Lewis years, like just the sum of the parts. The whole exceeds the sum of the parts.
There's so many unknowns, though. Is Irving actually going to come back? If he comes back, will it be round 2? If we're in round 2,
who do you want to play, Milwaukee or Miami?
Well, we talked about it earlier. I think I'd rather play Miami.
I'd rather play Milwaukee.
Yeah,
I just think they're so poorly coached that it'll take care of itself. Miami has all these dudes that kill us.
Milwaukee was killing us last night, so
yeah,
it's hard to say.
I'm not worried. I'm not as worried about Milwaukee. I'm worried about anybody, but House is saying last night he thinks the Wizards can beat the Cavs.
Well, I'm hoping.
And we saw Michael Wilbon at this event we went to, this Wasserman dinner. Shout out to Casey Wasserman. And Wilbon thinks the Wizards, the one team they love to play, the team that they the most fired up for, the team that they think about when they fall asleep every night is this Cavaliers team. Like they genuinely feel like they can beat the Cavaliers.
I'm hoping the Wizards drop to 7 because I'd love to play the Wizards in the first round.
Oh, I would rather have the Wizards play the Cavs. Even if they don't beat the Cavs, at least they'll wear them out and win a couple games and get people excited. They're kind of built to compete with the Cavs,
They have
even a little better than we are.
They have no bench. The only guy they can bring up is Oubre, and
Satoransky's been pretty good. House is like cautiously lukewarm on Satoransky. Yeah. Not as lukewarm on Mahimny, right, House?
Oh, I'm frozen.
House said he's frozen.
Not cold enough.
He's frozen on Mahimny. But I gotta ask, maybe you could cover this on your new Twitter account. Would you make a run at Kawhi this summer? Because I'm getting a lot of those emails lately.
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
I just...
If it was Jaylen Brown and the Sacramento pick, you wouldn't trade that for Kawhi?
No. There's something going on with that guy. I mean, how do you not come back?
Would you trade Abdul Nader and a second rounder for Kawhi?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, how do you, even his teammates seem to be criticizing him. There's a quote from Parker the other day saying, Parker was saying that Parker's injury was much more severe than Leonard's, and he came back, and what's going on here? That tells you a lot, I thought. I don't think he's a guy I want on my team.
Wow, you're writing him off.
Yeah. So no, I'm not making that trade.
You don't have a lot of leeway with people.
You don't think Danny Ainge is listening?
I think the Celtics would trade for Kawhi tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think to me, Tatum is untouchable.
Untouchable.
Him hitting the rookie wall, I got a little worried. He had the bad hand.
Lasted about 2 weeks.
It was more than 2 weeks.
2.5 weeks.
It was like 6. But he got through it, and the stuff he's been doing the last 3 weeks with Kyrie out has been really, really high level for somebody who's a freaking baby's just turned 20.
Well, the other thing
is
just
crazy.
They've been having him play the 4, the 3, the 2, and the 1.
You're right.
I mean,
and by the way, guarding 4 positions too.
Yes, he played point guard the other day and guarded the other point guard.
Yeah, he's really something. Although I'm happy that Fultz is not going to be just a complete train wreck. There's signs of life with Fultz.
Yeah.
I would rather have Tatum and the pick, obviously, for 20 different reasons, but we just need more good basketball players. It would have sucked if Fultz never figured it out.
He also seems like a nice kid.
Yeah.
Although, if you look in the box scores, which I have a little more time to do than you do, he's not attempting any 3-point shots.
No, and teams are playing 5 feet off him.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be able to play him in the playoffs, but athletically he belongs, and he's been so good on that.
He's getting a lot of assists. And no 3-point attempts.
He's really fast.
Yeah.
The guy who's been blowing me away the last, and the Sixer fans the Philly fans are so sensitive. He's been good all season. He's gone up a level, Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
From a confidence standpoint, the way he runs that team now, he is really kind of looks magic-like sometimes. I got to say, I would not say that in a casual, flippant way. But he grabs these rebounds and he just goes.
You
down
and I
the court.
loved him in college.
Yeah, we didn't understand why his team wasn't better, but it's clear that the better his teammates are, the better he's going to be. Athletically, he's so good. I love the fact that he knows what he can't do. He doesn't. He's not like, I'm a shitty shooter, but I'm going to shoot anyway.
No,
he's
he doesn't force the outside jumper.
I can score from these 3 spots. Right. Otherwise, I'm going to just control the game.
That's a well-coached team too.
Yeah, I didn't always think that, but the last 4 or 5 weeks, it feels like he has a feel. But it helped because they got Ilyasova and Bellinelli, who you and I really liked. I wish the Celtics had gotten Bellinelli.
Both those guys, when you look in the box score, every night, they're hitting threes. They're coming off the bench.
Bellinelli's done it. That dude's done it in the finals. That guy has a real bench scoring experience.
You and I
was mad we didn't get him.
I was upset that Ainge didn't make a move for him also. I mean, we're missing that guy off the bench.
I think the Celtics feel like they've never said this publicly, but just that it's just unrealistic for them to win 4 straight playoff rounds without Gordon Hayward. And why do anything when next year is the year they're looking at? And Hayward, who we'd always heard little floaters about him coming back in April, it's just not happening. And it shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't happen. You don't want to risk any re-injuring just to try to get to the 3rd round.
Amazing, though, that 60 games combined basically for Hayward and Kyrie.
Yeah.
if I guess 61 if you count the 5 minutes Hayward played on opening night, but they're going to miss 104 games combined. The two best, most expensive guys in the team, and the team is still going to win 57 games.
It is amazing, but it's not just those two guys.
And then Smart missed.
Right, Tice.
What? Tice,
I liked a lot. In the beginning of the season, I said, because you hadn't watched him much, he was
that's not. First of all, not true. I did watch a lot, but you acted like you were the only one with cable.
Well, I was at the games too.
I'm just so used to you telling me that you like a tall, awkward white guy in the Celtics. I had to keep my guard up. I still remember when you were calling me raving about Steamsma. Steams was something.
I don't think they gave him enough of a shot, but
Steams was pretty good that one year.
Yeah. Too many injuries. I don't want to write the year off, but maybe next year is our year.
Well, you never know. If it can be Cleveland, Washington round one, and Washington can somehow beat Cleveland, and then we get to round two, and who knows?
Well, who knows about injuries on other teams too?
And Philly, even though Philly is ridiculously talented, just a slew of guys who have never played in a playoff game.
True.
And it usually takes a year. Although we have some guys, I guess Jalen got some reps last year, but Tatum in the playoffs. Tatum gacked those two Warriors games,
right?
Which were two of the biggest games of the year, and was just deer in the headlights. So I have my guard up with him just because he's so young. I think with those young guys, there's certain games where they just kind of go, "Holy shit, I'm on ABC and I'm playing LeBron right now."
We could talk about each one of those guys. The bottom line is, if Irving isn't out there, we're not going to be moving on. We might move on to the second round, but I hope he's out there. It's an injury that maybe he can come back for the end of the first round.
We're going to Augusta, so we have to wrap this up. I'm throwing it to the Jeff Goldblum podcast, but we should mention once again your new Twitter account. DR Bill 1947. Excited for your Bruins takes.
There'll be Bruins takes, Celtics takes, and NFL draft coming up.
That Marshawn's next overtime goal, you'll be right there with a tweet.
Red Sox should be 6-0. They're 5-1.
Price is back. Do you want to apologize to David Price for all the terrible things you texted me about him last year?
Do you have evidence of those texts?
I do. They're on my phone.
I don't remember any of them.
You really despised him. And now you're back. Now it's like it never happened.
Hey,
Bogarts is back, by the way. He's
so
guess
far.
What? When you don't have a broken wrist, it's easier to swing.
You and I talked in the year.
Yeah, he was hurt all last year and killing my team and my fantasy team.
Right. Every time a guy gets hit in the wrist.
Yeah. You hate wrist injuries.
Oh.
You hate feet for basketball or wrist for baseball.
Well, I'm not. I'll show my age a little bit. Garcia Parra was never the same after he got hit in the wrist.
He didn't get hit in the wrist. His wrist exploded.
Well, he got hit in the wrist. He got hit by a pitch.
Yeah, but it exploded in a way that was unusual.
So that's what I'm saying. He was never the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably put on a little too much muscle in retrospect. All right. Next time we hear from my dad, it will be after we've actually been at Augusta. Oh, we forgot one more thing. The Brockton firefighter. Give him a shout out.
Parziale from Thorny Lee, the Brockton area. My friend Stephen Hansen, big fan, always talking about him and his dad, telling me he's playing a practice round this morning at 11:30 with Tiger. And he's in the third pairing tomorrow. So hope he makes the cut.
So this kid from Brockton who didn't even start playing golf on a conventional golf course and eventually did, and worked his way up and is an amateur firefighter and miraculously
he's
did
a
all these things.
Firefighter to amateur golfer.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Amateur golfer and firefighter, and miraculously qualified not just for this, but for the U.S. Open too, right?
I'm really not sure, but
yeah. So we're on this guy's bandwagon. This is one of the more violent bandwagon jumps I've seen from you.
I'll be following him tomorrow in the first round.
Maybe we should follow him tomorrow. Can you walk 18 holes?
I walked a lot of holes yesterday.
Maybe Nephew Kyle might be able to carry you. We have to get Nephew Kyle a badge tomorrow.
I did see some older guys like me. They were in these little carts. Maybe you have to show that you're partially paralyzed, but I don't know where you get those.
All right, whatever injury you can fake tomorrow to get a cart, we'll try to figure that out.
Okay.
Dad, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
And since we're here, don't forget, Against All Odds, me and House were on there this week giving Masters picks. We're going to be on Shack House tomorrow night. Be ready for that. And that's it. Anyway, here's an interview that I did with Jeff Goldblum. We talked wide-ranging interview. It really fun. I love when when I'm not sure where the guest is going and his refusal to do a conventional interview. I loved it. It was great. It kept me on my toes the whole time. Somebody who's been in our lives for a long time. Jeff Goldblum. Here it is. Here we go. The mayor of Hollywood, Jeff Goldblum. That's what
I
Ed
thought you were
Begley Jr.
introducing yourself. As I thought you were the mayor.
I'm not even anything in Hollywood. You're the mayor, though. Everyone says you're the mayor.
No, I'm nothing.
There was a whole oral history in GQ once about how you've resonated with all of these different pockets of the Hollywood community.
Really?
Yeah.
Pockets?
Oh, don't act like you didn't read it.
I read it. Those were very sweet. As a matter of fact, I'm a little late. I'm belated in getting back to all those people who they called.
Yeah.
And came up with something nice to say in many cases.
It was all about how you just connect with people left and right, no matter where you are. You can be
look
on an
at us
airplane.
already. I've only been here 2 minutes, and don't you feel like we're...
You taught me about lozenges.
I've told you about my lozenge secret.
You apologize for being so impeccably dressed because you were coming from another show because you're in the circuit.
That's right.
Meanwhile, I'm dressed like a bum as always in a sweatshirt.
You're dressed fantastically.
I'm just comfortable.
Does anybody know that you have the hair of a young
the hair of an
Steve
Italian
McQueen,
young Steve McQueen,
and the piercing blue eyes of Peter O'Toole?
Oh, thank you. That's
Lawrence
way to butter me up. That's really nice.
You look, I had no
Thank
idea.
you. Yeah, who
you
knew?
were this camera
Who
ready.
knew? Yeah, well, I'm definitely not camera ready today. So you're at the end of the circuit. We're catching you, but I don't think it matters because I think you're ready to go at all times.
I'm in full flush of my Goldblum tendencies.
But you have a small child, so you wake up every morning.
I have 2 small children.
So you're up in the mornings.
Yes, I am.
That's the problem with having kids when you're older is they wake up super early, but it's not a problem because old people wake up super early. Like I'm 48. I get up, all of a sudden I'm getting up at 6 now.
Of course, we like to get up early, and we like to go to bed early.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's the part I'm still struggling with.
Really? Why? What do you like to do at night? Have another bowl of cereal?
I like to watch TV. Yeah, I like to power
do you still
through
watch
movies.
TV, or do you go on the YouTube and just watch sample this and that?
I do both, but I really still like scrolling through the channels and being like, oh, that movie's on.
Yeah, I know.
I still get a kick out of it.
Yeah, it's an
it's
old
our
habit.
generation, though.
I know. But hey, how about Apple TV? That's really changed my life, the whole Netflix and Apple TV. You can see every movie. You can really seriously watch movies now.
It's almost like too many choices.
Yes, that's
it's kind of
true.
paralyzing. It's like when you go on an airplane sometimes and they have the movie library and there's like 100 movies that I kind of want to watch again, but I'm not that excited. I settle on my old standbys, one of which is The Big Chill, which is just like kind of like comfort watching. I know all the scenes. I like the characters. I feel like they're my friends. I dive back into the world.
Be, if you were that, you would be, of course, Tom Berenger, probably.
Oh, stop it! He was an actor.
No,
I'd have been more like you because you were a writer.
Well,
that was my background.
Well, you could really.
I mean, you're kind of a troublemaker in that movie, but
yeah, I'm a bit of a scallywag. Well, wait a minute. You were a writer, of course.
Yeah.
Tell me everything about that without.
That's how I started everything. I was a sports columnist.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Boston originally. I like how you flipped this podcast on me.
No, I'm not flipping anything. No.
Yeah, I'm from Boston originally, and then I got hired by ESPN to write a sports column, and that led to a whole bunch of other good things.
That's so interesting. Why? You were always interested in sports? You always just liked every sport?
Love sports.
That's so interesting.
You're a tall guy, though. You never...
I'm 6'4". I'm a little over 6'4".
Never played hoops?
I played everything on the street. They had to call me in for dinner at the end of the day because I was out on the street playing basketball during basketball season, baseball during baseball season, football. I was in Little League. I did all that. My uncle, my dad's brother, named Chucky Goldblum, was a big star for Westminster College, basketball star. He was exactly my height. He kind of looked like me. And supposedly the legend has it he was going to go into the NBA. He was going to be... in the NBA.
So you don't have a basketball movie in your background or anything?
No, I don't. I take part in that Great White Hype movie. Speaking of boxing. Yeah.
But you couldn't have been in like Fish That Saved Pittsburgh or some of those late 70s, like an up-and-coming role.
Yeah.
Maybe you should tell your agent. You blew it. Or Fast Break you could have been in.
Fast Break, really? I don't know either of those movies so far.
I
know Hoosiers. I know the basketball movie Hoosiers. What are your favorite sports movies? Hoosiers you like? Yeah, what else?
Well, the classics are the old school classics are like Hoosiers, The Natural.
The Natural. I did like Glenn Close is a friend of mine from The Big Chill, of course.
Right.
We've stayed in touch, and she's a dear angel. She said something nice about me in that piece for GQ, and she came over to our house to meet our 2 little boys. We've got 2 little boys now.
Yeah.
And she was in The Natural. That's right.
She was the lady in white in The Natural, but then played Fatal Attraction lady like a year later.
Yes.
Which is like the two
good
opposite
angel and
ends
the bad
of the
angel.
spectrum. Yeah.
That's right. Oh, she's got every color in the rainbow. She can do everything. But how about that Glenn Close sports movies? That's what we were talking about. Hey, do you like that movie that Oliver Stone did about football, that, Any Given Sunday?
I think it's really weird, but it's aged really nicely.
It's kind of a guilty pleasure for me. I kind of like it too.
I had Pacino was here. We did a podcast last week.
You've got to be kidding.
Sitting right there.
Now you've struck a chord. Now you're talking about something.
I'm not positive he knew what was going on.
What do you mean? I
think he thought it was a live radio show for a while and then realized it was eventually a long-form conversation that he could just keep going and going. Uh-huh. And about 25 minutes in, he started doing, I remember one time with Brando, and I was like, this is, yes. And it was great. He was awesome.
Really?
He name-dropped Any Given Sunday. He was like, I was in this movie once, Any Given Sunday. I was like, yeah, I'm familiar. I've seen it 40 times.
Were you starstruck with him? I mean, I would have had a million questions for him. Did you ask about The Godfather, or did you feel comfortable talking about all that?
I did. And he talked about how he almost got fired in The Godfather.
Right, of course. That's a famous story.
He was talking about the 70s. He was talking about the 80s. There's just like 5 years that's just missing where he just didn't act.
Before he came back in Sea of Love.
Yeah.
That's
how he phrased it, actually. He's like, then I came back with a movie you might have heard of, Sea of Love.
Yeah, with John Goodman.
Yeah,
my
that was
friend
good
Ellen
one.
Barkin.
Good one.
I did a couple of movies with Ellen Barkin.
Yeah.
Couple of movies.
That's what we're going to play a game that we're going to be able to dive into.
I like to play
parts.
all manner of games. By the way, I'm from Pittsburgh. You're from Boston.
Right.
So you must be a Patriots fan. Or as a broadcaster, you're not allowed to have any allegiance to any team?
I'm the exact opposite. I'm open about my allegiances.
Really? So you're for the Patriots.
Yeah, we've been beating the Steelers pretty consistently now for
Did you see
decades.
today, I saw in the Bleacher Report, they have the new catch rule has been established, which would have, and they referenced
you would have won that game.
We would have won that game.
Yeah.
As we should have.
As usual, they changed the rules after the Patriots benefit from them. That's a recurring theme with the
now,
league.
Even being a fan as you are you suspicious of their...
Now, that rule needed a change.
Right.
My whole thing is...
But after their win...
If it seems like a catch, it should be a catch.
Yeah.
Jesse James clearly caught the ball.
Yes,
to say actually it moved 1/8 of an inch.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Well, anyway, we could talk about that forever, but I'm a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. You must know everything about the offseason with the Steelers this
you have your running backs holding out.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell. What do you think? I met him once. I took a couple of pictures with him, believe it or not.
I support running backs holding out because their careers are about 8 to 9 years, and they need to get paid during the 8 to 9 years. And it can't be like, next year we'll get you, and then all of a sudden you get cut.
How long did Barry Sanders work?
Yeah.
How long did Jim Brown work?
It's a young man's position.
Hey, here's a quiz for you.
Yeah.
What movie? Let's talk about sports figures who then did movies. What movie did Jim Brown did a lot of movies.
Jim Brown retired to make kind of not that great movies. He was like these low budget action movies.
Yeah.
But he just didn't want to play anymore. He was smart. He didn't want to take the punishment.
Oh, they're right. Very smart.
But OJ was in Capricorn 1, which was actually a good movie. I like Capricorn 1. You don't like it?
I know. I've never seen it.
I've never seen it. It was about how they basically faked going to Mars. They filmed it in a studio, but then something went wrong and the astronauts had to escape.
Right. Right. You know,
it was a good one.
Courtney B. Vance is in Isle of Dogs. I've been spending time with him on this publicity tour. He's a wonderful guy, wonderful actor. And of course, he played Johnny Cochran in the recent.
He was amazing in that.
He was quite amazing in that.
And then Sterling K. Brown was great too. And he's had a whole
Sterling
kind of
K.
not
Brown.
revival, but like I guess breakthrough.
He played
Chris Darden.
Chris Darden, of course.
You got to get in on one of these Ryan Murphy things.
And I just did I like Ryan Murphy, and I saw every episode of Feud. And
Yeah.
wait a minute, I was on a couple episodes of Glee. That's Ryan Murphy too, right?
Yeah, but you got to do one where you play like Bob Shapiro.
Oh, really?
And the OJ thing.
Well,
like if they hadn't had him, I think you were next.
Sterling K. Brown, I just did a movie with.
Yeah.
Called Hotel Artemis with the two of us and mainly Jodie Foster.
Oh,
How about that?
interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
He hosted SNL and was really good. And
Yes.
I always I like when actors that I like host SNL because it's a nice test of kind of, I don't want to say how good of an actor they are, but how flexible they are as an actor.
Yes, I know what you
Different
mean.
things. You did it. You hosted
I
it
did
twice,
a couple
right?
of times, yeah. Did you ever act? Did you do much acting?
God, no.
No?
No, I'd be terrible. I'd be terrible.
You'd be wonderful.
No, you'd be great. You hosted in 93,
Yeah, I think it was 93. and then
Aerosmith.
that's right. Aerosmith.
I don't remember. You hosted one more time, but I don't remember the other. I remember the Aerosmith though, because that was like kind of.
and then I played with him. I played piano.
I heard that story.
You heard that story.
You went on
I
stage
won't
with
bore
them.
you with that. That's right, yeah.
That's
I was
not a
there-
boring story. They invited you on
They
stage
invited me on
during
stage
an
to
Aerosmith
spur of the
concert.
moment, and I played a song with him at some outdoor theater, 80,000 people.
It's the spring. That means one thing: basketball, basketball, and basketball. Did you know that college players who wear a number 1 jersey dunk the most? Did you know that those born in North Dakota are historically the most accurate 3-point shooters? How do I know that? Because the NCAA is using Google Cloud to turn decades of data into answers. Answers to questions like, are seniors the best at hitting the game-winning shot? Can school spirit really help a team win? Are upsets more likely during a full moon? Anyway, whatever questions you have from basketball to business, Google Cloud can help you find answers in your data. All that data you're sitting on, that's how you take on the competition. Today, tomorrow, well into the future. Only one team a year gets to cut down that net. But with Google Cloud, just imagine all the things you, your team can accomplish. Know what your data knows? See how at g.co/March Madness. Google Cloud, the official cloud of the NCAA. I'm going to play the IMDb game with you, and
Yeah.
it's going to be fun.
But
You ready?
Yes, yeah. Well, I want to play
Do you
that
know what
game.
the IMDb game is?
No, I don't. But I'll
We
play
go
with
through
it.
some of the movies you did,
Okay.
and just the trigger of the names prompts you into some sort of memory from the
Yes.
past.
Watch this. That's my best. That's special skills on my resume. Free association, along with a stick shift, and I speak some French.
Well, there was on one set where they were playing like basically every movie you were in could go to another actor, but then it could circle back and
Well,
come
yeah,
back
that's
to
a
you.
fun game. That's a different little
Yeah, that's
variation of
different,
this. Is the movie game, actor, movie, actor, movie, actor, movie. That would
'Cause
be a fun
originally
game to play
Kevin
together.
Bacon was another one that you
Right.
could do that. There's
That's
certain
kinda-
actors who've crossed so many paths.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so your first movie,
Death Wish.
Death Wish, and you're like a horrible thug in the movie, and
Freak
you
number one.
set up this whole vigilante. You're freak number one
Freak
on the
number one.
IMDb.
That's right.
That was your first movie. It was like the most horrible part ever.
That's right. 1973, long before you were born. Gregory Rousakis and Chris Logan are the freak number 2 and 3. Charles Bronson, of course, is the fellow whose wife Hope Lang gets killed. We do.
You
some,
break into her apartment
Yes,
and you
we
do
do.
terrible things to her and her daughter.
We do terrible things.
So what do you tell your fam after? Like, good news, I got a break. I'm in this movie, but you might not want to see it.
Well, I don't know. I was excited. I just studied with Sanford Meisner, and it was a part. It was a part. I got a part
you're
to break
acting.
into any part at all. It was the first thing I'd ever gone up for.
Wow.
So it was like a miracle, the greatest miracle to me. And playing a part that was unlike me, I thought I was characterizing and going to practice my acting. So I was thrilled about it. Yeah.
That movie, which they finally remade, which had been dying to be remade forever, was such a great idea.
The idea of the movie?
Don't just like
It is?
normal guy,
Yes.
something horrible happens to his family and he
Yes.
becomes a vigilante.
You like that idea?
That's a great idea.
What do you like about that idea?
I just like it.
Well, it did well the
'Cause
first time, but
it didn't do as well the second time. I just like the principle behind it of somebody kind of snapping
do.
and looking for their own version of justice.
really?
You don't seem to like it as much.
No, of course not. Not in real life. As a
I meant as a
fantasy.
movie, not as a real
Yes,
life.
yes, as a movie. Yeah, it's an idea that appeals to a lot of people who felt frightened, and they want to do something violent to keep themselves safe, as we know in today's world. Many people feel at risk. But I believe, Jeff Goldblum, I believe, and I hope I don't offend anybody, that in the long arc, that I hope 100 years from now or even sooner, we say people were doing what?
Yeah.
They had these things called guns. And nuclear weapons, that they could do away with everybody in a second. And before we decommissioned all that technology and melted them down and made sculptures and lovely little things that you could watch, people were actually resolving their conflicts not by conversation and lively, vibrant conversation and disagreement, but they were hurting each other and killing each other. Even when the wisdom literature tells us it's one of the commandments. That's one of the things you don't want to do. Don't kill anybody. So why are there even these things, yes, that you can resort to when we get mad, of course, yes.
So you're saying Death Wish isn't going to age well?
Hey, I'm talking about something else entirely besides the commercial legs of a movie, of a stupid little movie. You know, who
I wonder
cares?
100 years from now, I wonder if people would be interacting. Everybody just might be in their own little
that's
house or apartment or condo and just like
a whole other
texting
subject.
and emailing each other, and that's it.
We don't know. The technology has, I'm no expert, but it's so erupted, and we don't know what it's going to do to the culture. I hope that we can use it in a way to allow ourselves to make deeper, more intimate, personal connections with each other. And one of the vehicles for that through the ages has been storytelling and telling each other in person and by way of the movies or however we do it, stories where we pretend things sometimes. We go, hey, let's imagine that, what if this happened? We act out things. That's kind of nice, primitive.
Well, you're the mayor of Hollywood. You can make this happen.
I'm nothing.
Just tell the people that work under you to just get the laws passed.
There's nobody. What laws?
Do you have an office?
Keep acting going? No, I'm just on my own here.
How about Starsky and Hutch, 1977?
Hey, now
that was
you're
a great
cooking
show.
With gas. Thank you very much.
I love that show.
The great David Soul and Paul Michael Glazer.
Unbelievable car. I might have had the toy little tiny replica of it.
I want a muscle car now. I mean, I've never had a fun car in my life. I'm driving a Prius now, and that's the correct car. My friend Ed Begley told me to get that. And my wife has a Tesla now. And I'm thinking of getting a new car. There's a little space left in my garage, which is not going to fit, the Dodge Challenger or something in orange with a stripe or something. But I'd kind of like that. I should go off the grid and
get the Starsky and Hutch car.
Leaf or a Bolt or another Tesla, but it's maybe too small. Well, and what was that car? Is that a Dodge Challenger or something like that?
I can't remember.
I don't know. Yeah, I
like the paint job. I don't even remember what car it was. As a kid.
And I, that's me. All I really care about, I know nothing about cars. All I really care about in a car is the color.
Yeah.
So I've been looking at those Mini Coopers and I go, gee, I want one of those cute little colors.
What about Annie Hall? You had one line.
Annie Hall, I said, you know what it is? Maybe you researched it. Would you have known had you not researched it?
I haven't seen that movie in a while.
Oh, okay. So nobody knows. Okay, here. I say in that movie, I forgot my mantra. Woody Allen, Alvy Singer visits Hollywood, and there's a Los Angeles party, and some guy on the phone, he passes with Paul Simon, and he's visiting Paul Simon's house, and Diane Keaton, his girlfriend, and he passes me. I'm on the phone, and I say, I forgot my mantra. That's the line. That's it.
How big of a deal was it to get a Woody Allen, even a line in a Woody Allen movie in 1977? Because Annie Hall was the one that blew him up, but he was already big anyway.
Oh, sure he was, but it changed a lot. I think it changed some things in movies, and for his career, it was a landmark. I do believe. I don't know if he sees it that way, but it was a big deal for me. Like I say, I'd started in 73. This was actually in 75-ish.
Yeah.
So it was only a few movies in. It was my third movie after Death Wish. I did California Split and Nashville, these two that I miraculously landed with Robert Altman, spectacular director. And then I met Woody Allen on this, and he said, yeah, I'll come on and do this thing.
Who was more happy for you, Starsky or Hutch?
Happy for me. That was after. Starsky and Hutch was after I moved here. But how about
this next movie was a movie my parents took me to in the theater and probably shouldn't have. Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, 1978.
A really good idea and a movie that has shockingly held up well.
Well, thank you very much. I haven't seen it in a while, but I'll bet it is nice because Philip Kaufman, a wonderful director who directed The Right Stuff, I had a little part in that.
Yeah.
Directed that. Michael Chapman, who was the cinematographer on Raging Bull, speaking of which, was the great cinematographer. Oh, it's got lovely things in it. And of course, Donald Sutherland is in it.
Do you know that premise, Tommy? Pods are taking over people. If you fall asleep, you turn into a pod and get replaced by the pod.
Yeah.
So the whole goal for the last hour of the movie is don't fall asleep.
Yeah.
But obviously human beings have to sleep.
Yes.
It's kind of terrifying.
It's terrifying. And of course, people have attached, symbols to it. That it's
Right.
imagine that it's a symbol for other things. Many other.
Jeff's character falls asleep and becomes a bad guy.
Yeah. Well,
You shouldn't have
no,
fallen asleep.
I do. Oh, do I? Yes, I do.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I do.
You shouldn't have fallen asleep. You blew
Well,
it.
they take you over. These pod people take you over. You got to sleep at some point. But I think it's now that I'm thinking out loud right now. I think it's a metaphor for any of us in our modern world to fall below a level of awareness, attention, wakefulness. And then we become, if we lose touch with reality, the facts of reality, and a certain alertness, we might become a kind of unrecognizable, soulless type,
That's how I felt the last 2 years at ESPN when I was there.
Really?
No, it's a little bit, a tiny bit. The Right Stuff, another one that's held up well.
Yeah,
Same
Philip
director.
Kaufman. Yeah.
All right, so Big Chill, 83. This is your big break.
Is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm asking you.
I don't know about that. I mean, it was a continuum along the way of it got attention.
Well, maybe it didn't feel like it was the big break as it was happening, but in retrospect, you have this awesome director. It becomes this iconic movie, belongs to a generation. Like it's my mom's probably one of her top 3 favorite movies
No
because
kidding.
it's like her generation.
Yeah, not
It's
your
like we
grandma,
went to
your-
college, we're going to save the world, and then 10 years
Yes.
passed, and it's like, hey, let's
Right.
make some money now.
Well,
And that was like the existential dilemma of
yeah,
the
it's
baby
like
boomers.
when you get older, do you lose your idealism? We're looking right now at these wonderful kids who are protesting in Union and are on the right side of history, of course. And what will we be like when we get older? Are we that brave? Are we that idealistic? I don't know.
I love that movie because I have probably 20 and 25 go-to movies. The thing I love about that movie is it's about friendship. And one of the big themes in it is these people are almost become family. And they're your friends, but they're really not in your life after a certain point.
Yeah.
And William Hurt's character, at one point he's like, you guys, I've seen you twice a year.
Yeah.
And he does that whole speech
You
where
don't know me. Yeah.
yeah, you don't know me. And
Yeah.
it cuts deep, but at the same time, they feel like they do know him. That's their brother.
Yes.
And it's so painful, but it's that's what life's like. You feel like somebody's your best friend and then you don't talk to them for 2 years.
Yeah, that's right.
You still love them though.
Even members of your own family.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go, geez, we're family, but we've drifted apart or this and that. Yeah, it's classic. It's like The Godfather too.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
That's the ultimate family movie.
they're connected by blood in a very strong way, but they wind up killing. He winds up killing Fredo.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Still can't get over it.
Oh my God! Well, in Godfather 3, he becomes, epileptic
he's racked with guilt,
over the whole
guilt
thing,
by it.
psychically epileptic.
Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay. And then visited upon him is the death of his own daughter in front of his eyes, and he screams silently like the painting.
The camera coming back. That was
Yes.
great.
Ay, 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 ay. Those Corleones.
When you filmed The Big Chill, they had everybody come 3 weeks early or 2 weeks early, and you guys all hung out. It really sounds like it was a special experience.
It was very
I don't know. It doesn't seem like movies unfold that way very often, where it's you're connecting with all the people and then you act in the movie after.
It's rare. Yeah. No. We did it like a play. You do that when you do plays.
Yeah.
But we rehearsed that for more than 2 weeks, I think for 4 weeks or something, we got together and talked and bonded ourselves together intentionally and worked out the stuff in the movie. Yeah, and became quite close and was very palsy and warm and delicious. And then we all went to Beaufort, South Carolina, where they filmed The Great Santini in that same house with Duvall. That's right. And and we lived there. We lived all in a complex there all together. And after filming, we would get together, play charades and play games and sing and dance. Yeah, it was great.
No sequel.
No.
I don't know what a sequel would be for that movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's tough. I like how it just ends at the kitchen table and then it's done.
It's fine and dandy.
So that opened up after that. Now you're rolling.
Well, I don't know about that, but
no, you're rolling now. At that point.
Well,
you're getting to pick projects now that you want to do, and
well,
I don't know. No,
here
am
and
I
there.
wrong?
Sure. It was nice. It was nice. I'm sure it was helpful. You know, I've never been careerist, is what you're talking about, and so I don't know
if
I
love acting. It
love
must
acting.
be nice to be like, oh, now I have a chance to do this project. That I don't have
as
a
that's
chance.
come more and more as I've gone on, and not at any one landmark point really is the answer, but as that has come. Yeah, I feel better now than ever and luckier and am enjoying acting more purely and in a relaxed fashion than ever and feel that I'm on the brink of my best stuff, in fact.
Silverado,
Yes.
people feel like is one of the lost really good 80s movies.
Really?
I don't know.
Good. Well,
That's what
you
people
said
think.
it. I don't know. Are you just running up the flagpole? See what I'll say?
No,
yeah, I think a lot of people do like that movie. Of course,
We're doing word association with your movies.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just trying to set you up.
Oh yeah. Well, you're starting the association. You're throwing me off because you're starting me on the association. You're like, here, drive the car away. I'll drive for the first block. Now just take my wheel whenever you want. No, let me drive it. Let's see. Oh yeah. That's a lovely movie, of course. And I have a big fur coat in that movie. And
You play Slick Calvin Stanhope.
Slick Calvin
It's
Stanhope.
a great character name.
That's right. And I got a dagger up my boot, and I've got a derringer up my sleeve. And sweet Danny Glover and I get to tangling at the end of that movie. He does me in.
So Costner's in that, and
He sure
he's
is.
about to become a mammoth star. Could you see that as you like when you're doing a movie like that? Are you looking around going, "Oh, that guy's somebody. That guy's something's happening to this guy."
So you're asking questions that have the sensibility of careerism to them, and
So you don't like the careerism stuff.
It's not that I don't like it. I've never been focused on it. So the answer to the last question is no. I don't go around usually saying, "Hey," as if I'm smoking a cigar. I'm not the cigar. That's the other side
But
of
don't
the
you notice,
coin.
like, wow, that guy's a
Yeah.
really good actor.
Yes, I can get excited about and say, "Wow, geez, very sparkling,
Like, wow,
very
who is
delicious.
this guy?
Who is this guy?" I don't know that I don't know that I immediately start thinking, "Oh boy,
Well, I bet good things are going to happen
good
to him.
things." Bright
that's the
future.
writer in me.
Yeah, that's you're another kind of. You've got a different kind of talent than I don't know if I
isn't-
have that talent.
Well, I don't even know if it's a talent.
Oh, sure it is. Look at you.
But isn't there a competitiveness like when you're on a set like that and you got people you're all the same age, or especially when you're younger? I mean, they're friends, but at the same time, they're going to be rivals for future parts and stuff. You didn't feel it.
I guess if you choose to think that way, you're down a route that's going to get even more radical.
See,
in
this
that
is why
way,
you're
and
the
you
mayor
will-
of Hollywood.
and you will drive yourself nuts because it's unhealthy.
Right.
There's, read the play Death of a Salesman. I think Biff. I think Happy, the misguided and confused son who doesn't even know he's confused, who's suffering from a classic American disease syndrome, says, I think one of my troubles is I have an overdeveloped sense of competition. And we see that his dad, who has visited that upon him, and who Happy has not had the sensitivity and intelligence like Biff to resist, is doomed in a tragic way, and so is Happy. It's only Biff that gets out of it. I myself have tried to. I'm not unfamiliar with the temptation to feel like that here and there, but I myself have always been an active aspirant toward its antidote. Stay involved with what you love to do and be the best of yourself and find yourself for the sheer joy of work and forget this game and rat race. It's only going
Let me flip it around.
It's only going to be dismal.
When you're in the big, you must learn one thing when you're in every movie, right?
Learn
Like,
one thing when you're...
One thing that's going to help you going forward.
Yeah, I'm a humble student.
So
I'm
what'd you
always
learn from-
eager to sponge
What'd you
up
learn from
any...
Big Chill?
What did I learn? Well, I'll
What'd
tell
you take away from that movie and be like, I'm going to use this?
Okay, listen to this. I don't know about acting. I'm always trying to get better at acting, and maybe I learned a thing or two. But Jo Beth Williams, who was wonderful in that movie, one of these nights to which I referred, where we were playing charades, saw me before my turn, kind of fishing around like a scallywag of some kind in the bowl and kind of trying to take a peek.
You were
at
cheating.
the titles. I was cheating, but I thought it was kind of cute.
Low stakes cheating.
Huh? It's
Low
cheating.
stakes cheating.
It's what?
Low stakes cheating.
Low stakes cheating.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I didn't even know that phrase, but it's a kind of, yes.
I just created it.
I thought of it's very good. I thought of it, yes, as low stakes, and this is just for fun. And aren't I kind of cute and charming that I'm kind of trying to get a sneaky leg up? She became red with fury.
She's an honorable person, Jo Beth Williams.
She's noble and honorable and wonderful and decent, and in front of everybody said, Jeff Goldblum, and I don't know, I don't remember the exact words, but she read me the riot act and says, shame on you. Look what you're doing. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I was stricken with shame. From that point on, I can say that it kind of shifted my paradigm. I never cheated again, I don't think. It became so shameful to me. I think it cured me. She cured me in that moment.
Single-handedly.
Huh?
It was like she baptized you.
I guess I was ready. Yeah, I guess I was ready for it. But somehow any game I play, and hopefully in life too, in some of the more complicated ways in which we can be dishonest or cheat in ways. But certainly in any game, I'm like, no. Don't tell. I don't want to know anything about it. It really taints the victory.
Can I still cheat at low stakes things like
you can
Scrabble?
do anything you want.
Good.
Everybody's on their own, right on schedule, on their own timeline. And if it still works if it's still fine for you, it maybe is okay.
I played Scrabble with my wife once and my dad, and I actually thought it was a blank tile, but it was turned the wrong way. And then two other blank tiles came out, and I had used a blank tile that really was like an eye underneath it. And they're still making fun of me about this like 20 years later.
But
that
you
I
didn't
cheated.
know, or you cheated? You knew and you cheated.
I don't think I knew. But believe me, I would have cheated at Scrabble. But in
Right.
this case, I didn't know. So I had plausible deniability.
Yes.
But yeah. Well, I'm glad she taught you that because
plausible deniability, but that's a form of low grade cheating too. You have to
low stakes cheating.
Yes, turn that tile over in Scrabble. If you're playing, turn it. If you think it's a blank, make sure you turn it over as many times as you need to make sure I really have a blank one. Because
That's amazing.
ignorance
you.
of the law is not a defense.
That's amazing. She cured you.
Amazing. I'll be indebted to her forever.
You did Into the Night.
Yes.
You caught Pfeiffer pretty early there, right? No,
It
yeah,
was
Pfeiffer.
quite early. Yeah, she had done Grease 2.
She had a little Scarface.
And I think had she just done Scarface?
Scarface was like a year or so
Scarface?
before.
Ah.
Was
well,
that Scorsese?
Scarface is not
No.
Scorsese.
Who did Into the Night?
No, John Landis is
That
Into
John
the Night.
Landis, that's right.
That's right.
Yeah. What'd you
and-
learn from that one?
Well, Michelle Pfeiffer is wonderful, and we went on to do Prince of Egypt, another voice thing together, and we went on to do a play in Central Park, a Shakespeare play, 12th Night. I think the world of her and continue to be a huge fan.
She's my favorite actress, and it's a running joke with the Ringer staff, with some of the people I've worked with. I just think she can do no wrong.
Oh, she's fantastic.
I don't think I could do a podcast with her. I would be too.
Really?
I'd be too. I don't know. I'd be too discombobulated.
She's absolutely wonderful. I just saw her in Mother. She's very,
what'd you
very
think
good
of
in
that
Mother.
movie?
Well, we'll talk all
It's
about
super
that.
weird, right?
We're going to talk all about that later. Yeah, I thought it was very provocative, and I was riveted to it. And there's much
So
to say about it.
polarizing.
Much to say about it, yeah. But wait, what was I going to say? I was going to say something about, just a second. I was going to say
something you learned from her.
Oh,
or something?
I know. Something I learned from Into the Night.
Yeah.
I saw it again recently because I was going to do a whole video, DVD, extra material, not commentary, but a little interview about it that would be included on the Blu-ray DVD, which I think just came out. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know how they cut it down. But on the in the interview, I talked a lot about, and I hope it's there because I liked it, about seeing it now, seeing it recently, and realizing all the ways I would change my performance.
Oh, that's interesting.
And every way I would act differently now.
You mean like you would scale it up, scale it down?
It's complicated. It went on I talked a lot about it. I don't know that I could summarize it right now, but see, maybe it's not, they didn't include it. Maybe it was too boring to include an inside baseball, but I want to watch that to see if they included it.
Give me the one sentence cliff notes. What would you have done differently?
I think I said, my interpretation. I think I would have interpreted it differently. Interpreted it different. That's yours. That's not me. For a second I was scared I'd left my phone on, but that's you. You always turn your phone off in the theater, don't you? When you go to a play.
I do.
Yeah, that's good.
No, it's the FaceTime.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Congratulations.
My
What's
kids
that mean?
FaceTiming
Somebody's calling you on FaceTime?
You don't do FaceTime? Oh, because your kids aren't old enough yet. You're young kids.
They're on no screen time whatsoever. I do Instagram. So I post some things on Instagram and then I look sort of compulsively, pathetically at hashtag Jeff Goldblum to see what people are posting.
Are people nice?
Very nice. They're very nice. And they post fun old pictures of me and from things that I like to see sometimes and pictures that they've drawn of me and tattoos that they've gotten of me on themselves.
What was your most regrettable hairdo from the past?
Hairdo.
You must have had one bad one from the 70s or 80s, right?
Yeah. I've swung wildly in horrible style directions and
I mean, their hair now looks magnificent.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Well, you have classic. Yours
is like, it's like
classic.
perfectly
Yours looks like George
pushed
Clooney.
up. It's
really? Oh, really? Wait a minute.
Nice. Looks like there's a lot of product in there, but I don't think there is.
So this is one of these. It starts as a compliment. This is like
it
me.
It is a compliment.
When I say, "Hey, that's a lovely sweater," I really mean sometimes, "Oh my gosh, I have to mention it because it's so god awful." Really, but wait, you wanted to say it's all pushed up and it's got a lot of product.
I like how it's sitting up and it seems like there's product in it, but I don't think there is. I think it's just like a natural. Yeah. Natural, like fluff upwards.
Okay. Well, if you like it, I just came, as I told you, from filming that show, The Talk.
Right.
So I had a hair person. There's nothing that I need to hide from you.
She did a wonderful job.
Yeah, it's David Cox did it, and he even filled in. Look at this. See my sideburns? I've got a kind of a very.
Oh, you did a little shadow in the sideburns.
Yeah, I've got an affected sort of very planned stubble, a length of stubble that I like, that we both like, that he recommended, and he sort of groomed it a little bit to outline this sideburn, which he then darkened a little bit. So it's all darkened. So it looks like my mustache, which is actually dark. Yeah. This is the actual fit, but it sort of matches that. I kind of like it, even though I'm conceptually opposed to hair dye much or any kind of, interference or mutilation.
The Fly, 86, which was on cable for a long time, but you went all in on that one.
The Fly?
Yeah.
What do you mean all in?
It was grueling. You didn't have clothes on for a lot of it.
Some of it.
I mean, that was like a commitment, that movie.
It sure was, yeah. Well, I've always been committed to my acting. It was a good idea. It was a good idea.
It was a good idea for a movie.
Again, with a good idea.
I know. I just like it. I respect ideas.
You have a producer's sensibility.
You know what?
Good idea for a movie. Hey, this kid's going far. All that kind of stuff. Are you sure you don't smoke cigars?
I will if you want me to.
I'm going to send you a case of cigars after this.
Suppose this is Frank Capra's office. Maybe it makes me go.
This was Frank Capra's office?
Apparently.
You've got to be kidding.
We had Paul Thomas Anderson a couple months ago, and he was pretty adamant. Anderson. Yeah. He's pretty adamant that this is Frank Capra's.
I love him. He's The Master was my favorite movie that year, and There Will Be Blood and Inherent Vice, and
he's unbelievable.
He's fantastic.
So
Frank Capra, this was his audience. This was his office.
It seems like it was.
So It's a Wonderful Life.
I know. In like the 30s, this was his office.
Oh my golly!
I know.
So
that's why you're the mayor of Hollywood has so much energy right now.
Well, I don't believe in
the old Frank Capra grounds.
Yeah, I don't believe in that stuff. The leftover vibrations.
Energy?
No, I don't. Nope, I don't.
Maybe he tucked one little piece of good karma somewhere in these walls.
Piece of karma?
You acted.
I don't know what you're talking about. You're a funny mix of a producer and you're
and
like
a crazy person.
You're like King Vidor and Swami Satchidananda, I think.
In The Fly,
mix.
you acted with your then girlfriend.
Yes,
Gene
yes.
Davis.
Yeah,
What's it like to do a movie with? Yeah, what's it
married.
like to do a movie with somebody you're dating?
Well, it was delightful at the time. She's a wonderful woman and a wonderful actress, and we got to rehearse all the time, obsessively. Before it started.
But how do you keep like the relationship stuff out of like the work we're doing a movie together stuff? How does it overlap?
Well, yeah, it didn't need to in this case. All the it was it's a movie about two people having a very strong connection and then a tragic.
And then the guy's turning into a fly, so
Yes.
that's a problem.
Yeah.
They usually for relationships can undermine them in some ways when
If you
somebody's
turn
turning
into
into
a
a
fly.
bug. Yeah,
Yes. Good idea for a movie. Don't you think so?
Good idea for a movie.
Yeah. Where's my cigar? This is what I do with Charlie. We have a couple of leather chairs in the living room, and when he sits on one and I sit on the other one, I say, "Charlie, let's have brandy and cigars." And I go, and then I put it in front of him, and he goes, and I give him some brandy, But I'll pretend. we pretend. He doesn't know what either of those are yet, but we're pretending.
You did The Player with Altman second time.
Play?
Altman's like the player.
The player,
And
yes, we did
Altman's
4
always
movies
like,
together. I think.
Yeah, he's always mentioned in the conversation of best ever, one of the best ever. What made him special in your opinion?
There's a Robert Altman Award. I think one of the Independent Spirit Awards is the Robert Altman Award. He was fantastic. We did California Split together and Nashville and The Player.
Was he one of those like solicit your opinion? Was he a multiple take guy? Was he a one take guy? Was he a lot of prep before? What kind of director was he?
No, he's a real artist. He was a real artist and kept evolving, and like Miles Davis, kept changing his way of making movies and made different kinds of movies, directed plays at some point, did movies that were true to the lines of the play that he was adapting. I did Beyond Therapy with him too. We did 4 movies together.
Yeah.
But famously early on, he was very improvisational and would take the script as a kind of a blueprint. He did that in Nashville and California Split, and very minimal, didn't like to rehearse much.
So you could be doing a scene with somebody and you'd be having coffee and you just try it 8 different ways and he would just be curious to see which one worked?
Something like that. He was visionary, but was a kind of a master host and guide. And his sensibility was very strong. His sense of humor was strong, and he was very trustful to the original part of your question. Yeah. And so you felt really that he was collaborating with you and that you had something to offer, and that
You're going to hate this
appreciated
question.
you. I am.
What
okay.
Would you rather work with that type of director or the type of director is like, you're doing this, do it this way, and it's going, and you're just kind of fulfilling the spot of the
that's
job?
a very good. I like that question.
Oh, good.
Because
you liked one of my questions.
Because I like all your questions.
Thank you.
I'm a kind of a craft geek, I studied with good people, Sandy Meisner early on. I liked the classroom, and then I taught for a couple of decades. So how you do things is of interest to me. And in the classroom, I would say to people, as I say to myself now, that you have to know how to do some different things and be able to work with different
Explore
people.
the studio space a little bit.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, with the scene.
Oh,
Explore
okay.
the studio space.
You have a dancer's kind of,
Thank you.
mentality too. You should see him moving around in here. Yes. Explore the space. I think. Yeah. But here's what I like to do. I like to be able to do a play. For a David Mamet play, which I've done, and all sorts of plays where you have to say every single line exactly the way it is, including the ... dots, which mean you take a pause there, and you have to make it seem like you're improvising it. And on stage, you have to hit that light, sometimes. And sometimes when you work with a great cinematographer like Gordon Willis, who did Annie Hall, they go, here, this way you're in the light, and this inch back this way you're not in the light, so do this, and in fact look over that way, so you're physically constrained to, and you got to say all this stuff.
That's so hard.
It's kind of demanding and challenging, but I like it. I like all that, being able to sort of behave and do my pretending in a space and with constraints and demands, and make it seem free and like a spontaneous, lively affair. at the same time, I like to do the other thing where I let go, like Taika Waititi, who directed the Thor Ragnarok. We improvised a lot of that. We made up lines and we did all kind of stuff in that. And I love doing that too. So I like doing both of them.
Would you agree that there are some actors out there that just fucking love it? Because like Pacino, I was talking to Brian Koppelman, who did Ocean's 13. He does Billions. And he was saying they did this, they're doing Ocean's 13 with Pacino. And they finish whatever the scene was, and Soderbergh's directing, and he's like, "Hey, Steven, let me do one more take just for me." There's no reason for it. He just really wanted to do one more and try a different thing and experiment with it, even though he was done for the scene, and he just could have gone back to his trailer.
Yes, of course. That's the way I've always. I admire him because of that. He's a model for me, and from the very start of getting into this, I did it for the sheer joy and fun and adventure and romantic excitement of creative excitement of doing it. I didn't care what happened out of that. I had no idea out of that. And yes, of course, you're doing it for the pleasure. And the people I work with now, this Wes Anderson, who's a genius director, he does, many takes. And then he says, well, I think I got it. I've got everything I want. Now let's do one just for pleasure. And he does that too, because it's so delicious to act. It's such a rare privilege, and it's just fantastic.
You don't have to say who, but have you worked with a director that's one of those, I'm going to do so many takes you're going to wear down until I get you to the point I want to get you to?
No.
Because there are directors out there who do that, right? They'll do like 100 takes.
I guess, but even the ones I've heard of, I mean, Wes Anderson on Grand Budapest Hotel did a lot of takes, but because he had he's a perfectionist and he wanted to kind of tweak it and still play around. He loves actors, and working with him is a delicious kind of experience, but he wanted to keep playing around and moving in the spaces, exploring the space. And
he didn't do the arms.
Exploring the space. And until he was felt he'd had what he envisioned, and until his appetite was satisfied. So, yes, like that. But no, I've never had the other kind who went like, "Hey, Jeff is I got to relax him, or I got to get him into a different condition by just wearing him out." No, I never had that. I don't think. But directors that I've heard like that, I've been watching recently a lot of interviews about Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah,
who apparently
he's having like a weird renaissance now. All of a sudden,
is he?
Yeah, there's a big book that came out about him, and there's a lot of YouTube conspiracy documentaries about him these days.
I'm fascinated by him, and I love his movies. But he did famously a lot of takes. I never worked with him, but I'm not sure why he did them. And sounds good to me.
You did Jurassic Park in '93, which became one of the biggest movies ever.
Yeah.
Did you think that was going to happen when you made it?
Well, this is going to be.
Well, because it was a huge
my friend
book.
Bill Simmons. Bill. I'm in the biggest movie ever. This is going to be the biggest movie ever. What do you think of that?
But that was like a life-altering. I mean, the amount of people that saw that movie, but it was based on a big book, and Spielberg's directing it.
Yeah.
So you had to know it was going to be a blockbuster.
Yeah, life.
Which you hadn't really picked movies like that before.
I was very lucky to be in that movie. I loved working with Steven Spielberg. It was a very wonderful creative experience with him. He's terrific, and working with him was very nourishing and nurturing. I like that. Yes, I think if I gave myself a moment to think that, yes, this book is popular, but I loved the book. I loved the character in the book by Michael Crichton. Dinosaurs, if they do what it sounds like they're doing, they're going to make technology to bring them to people in a way they haven't seen. Gee, this might be catch on. But it wasn't, even a couple of decades ago, it wasn't like it is now, where everybody is indoctrinated with your favorite consideration, which is how's this, how's this going to alter our lives, and what's
but that must have altered. But you became the Jurassic Park guy to probably a whole new group of people.
It's been very fun.
That guy.
It's been very fun.
No, I'm not pointing on me. I'm just pointing. People saying like Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I like it's fun to be recognized, and people make drawings of you, and that's awful fun. And I'm in this next one, Jurassic World, and people are excited about that. Yeah, it's terrific that it caught on so widely and intensely, for a lot of people.
Now the special effects are better.
And now the special effects are better?
Yeah, 25 years later, we can really make it seem like these dinosaurs are coming after you.
I'll bet they can.
In the old days, it was a lot of like the characters staring up.
Well, that's
then,
how
like,
we
the
did
wa-
it.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
But they still have to do that. I was on the set and watching Chris and Bryce look at, a tennis ball, and then later they're going to put in things, But early on, we did some of that. Stan Winston did the puppetry, so we had real dinosaurs there that we could look at. But Dennis Murin did the award-winning CGI stuff that he was pioneering. But yeah, I'll bet they keep improving all of that stuff. But I'm a particular fan too, and I can't wait to see what J.A. Bayona does with the special effects in that whole movie. But I'm a fan of Wes Anderson's work in Isle of Dogs, where it's no CGI, it's all stop motion animation.
Really?
Which is kind of a throwback to Ray Harryhausen and Jason the Argonauts and all that stuff. Yes, it's very...
What do you think made him want to do that?
Well, he did it before with Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah.
This is another kind of miles ahead version of it. It's a very artful, beautiful, gorgeous art form, and he's a master. And this is a masterpiece. Wait till you see it. You'll see.
When does it come out?
It's out as of this last week in a few theaters, but then it's coming out more
Is the
widely.
big wide release?
Yeah, there's a big wide release rolling out, as they say, here and there. Look to your local papers and theaters to see when, but pretty soon it's going to be everywhere around. But the Isle of Dogs, Isle of Dogs, it's called. It's fantastic. You know the cast in Isle of Dogs?
It's loaded.
But
People love doing Wes Anderson movies. It seems like he can kind of
They sure do.
pick who he wants.
I believe on this, the story goes that all his first choices did it. He just offers.
You get the call
people.
from Wes Anderson, you're like, I'll be there with
Yeah,
them.
Bill Murray and Ed Norton and Bryan Cranston and
Yeah.
Bob Balaban and Liev Schreiber, Harvey Keitel,
Jesus.
to Scarlett Johansson, Tilda Swinton, Greta Gerwig, Frances McDormand, Yoko Ono.
Yoko Ono?
Yes, Courtney B. Vance. Yes. Many people, all sorts of people.
What'd you learn from Spielberg?
Well, Mr. Spielberg is quite brilliant. Well, he's wildly prepared, but when he comes to the set, having been prepared, he's present in the moment and improvisational. It's kind of a dual combo platter, that allows him to be so alive and vibrant and imaginative on the set and on the spot and working with you. But I think it's because he's had that camera in his hand since he was a kid, and it's like, it's a second nature to him, and he's just great.
Last day of the movie shoot, is he a handshake guy? Is he a 1 second hug guy, or is he like a 5 second hug guy?
Let me see.
As he's saying goodbye to you, and he's thanking you for being in the movie.
He's wonderfully warm. Not only did we, I think, hug for at least 5 seconds, as I remember.
Because you seem like a 5 second hugger.
Oh yeah, I'll go
Yeah.
on.
You'll dole him out.
Oh, I'll dole him out.
Yeah, you'll to deserving parties.
I'm a people person, and I
people
like
person.
human contact of all kinds. Yes, I do.
But like Stanley Kubrick, probably short handshake, maybe even not a handshake.
Listen to this. I just saw. I watched Eyes Wide Shut again, his last movie.
It's such a fucking weird, great movie. I love that movie.
Very provocative movie, and I just saw all sorts of interviews about it, analysis of it, and I just saw an interview with Tom Cruise about it, and he described saying goodbye to him after a year or two.
It was like 2 years.
2 years, however long they were working on the movie. He said, I said to him, and he got tearful because now Stanley Kubrick had died.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise was recalling all of this. It was almost my favorite thing that I'd ever seen Tom Cruise talk about. He said, at the end of this, I said, well, it's the last day. And he said, I dreaded it, and I was, because I didn't want to say goodbye to Stanley, but I looked forward to it because I had enough of Dr. Bill. And and he says, after the last shot, I looked at Stanley, and we're by ourselves, and I said, well, Stanley, I just want to thank you and tell you how much I love you. And he said, Stanley looked at me, and he said, I love you too, Tom. Thank you very much. And it was like that. It was a very moving
I'm
description
shocked to
of
hear
it.
that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I'll bet Stanley Kubrick was a very wonderful, soulful, deeply intelligent and rooted person. Yeah.
When you did Independence Day,
Yes.
Will Smith was taken off. Do you feel like his career was? No. I had you for a second.
You're like an agent. You could be an agent. You should go.
Did you see like, hey, this Will Smith guy's going places?
You've got to get a job as an agent too.
Yeah, maybe a side hustle. But that was a massive movie. I feel like the summer movie thing,
Yes.
that was when summer movies became a thing that was now going to be in our lives for the rest of eternity. Like Speed had started in 94. I think Twister was the year after.
Yeah.
And then Independence Day. And it's like, this is now our life where you're going to have these giant summer movies.
No kidding.
With lots of people in them.
Well, I think Jaws was maybe one of the first ones.
Jaws started the initial wave.
Started something.
Yeah.
Well, nothing's going to be for all of eternity, of course, as we know. You know, soon enough, people will be saying, what were those things called? Movies.
They watched them.
They
sat in theaters with each other.
And that's when they had summer. That's when they released certain things. Everything's changing.
That's when there was a summer.
Yeah, that's when there was a summer.
Now it's 110 degrees every day.
Yeah, well, we hope we can stay around. Nobody will remember us or anything about this. So, that's how that goes. But but Independence Day was a nice summer event that summer. It certainly was. Yeah.
I feel like everybody in my life has seen that movie probably.
Oh, congratulations.
I would say.
Yeah.
It's like an under 30 kind of iconic cable movie.
Okay, good. Good news. More good news.
Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yes, sir. That's the one that I did.
Was that the first one with Wes Anderson?
No, the first one with Wes Anderson was 13 years ago.
Oh, the Steve Zissou.
Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, starring Bill Murray and Kate Blanchett and Angelica Houston.
Had you worked with Bill Murray before?
No, I had not. No, that was the first time, and he was amazing. Amazing. And then
how did your energies vibe, just out of curiosity? Because I always heard he was an eccentric kind of, could go in any direction kind of guy.
I love him. He's always keeps you on your toes, and he's surprising and interesting and wondrous and wonderful. He's just always like that. You can see, I just saw, because we did a whole bunch of Isle of Dogs publicity, and they paired me and Bill and Bob Alaban together. It's not a pair anymore. It's a troika of some kind. Anyway, I just saw the first one on Instagram, on YouTube somehow, of us sitting there for 5 minutes having a little conversation. Yeah, you'll see what our dynamic is like a little bit.
Who's the funniest person you've been on a set with? Because you've had some classics. You've been with some funny people over the years.
I sure have. Well, Bill Murray is spectacularly funny. Let's see.
You did a movie with Eddie Murphy.
You know who, huh?
You did a movie with Eddie Murphy.
Murphy is, of course, wonderfully funny. You know who I found very, very funny is Jason Schwartzman.
Interesting.
Yep. Jason Schwartzman is very funny. He wrote this movie, Isle of Dogs, along with Roman Coppola, with Wes Anderson and Kunichi Nimura, and he's very funny.